Hello and welcome to Simple Chinese, where the special effects are even more simple than what you'll learn. Coming to you live from Beijing, my name is Alex, and I'm so very excited to be doing this. The first topic I'd like to address today are tones. Now, if you've ever done a quick Wikipedia search, you'll know that Standard Chinese, also known as Modern Standard Mandarin, Standard Mandarin, Modern Standard Mandarin Chinese, or simply Mandarin, is a tonal language. Now, what does that mean? Well, it means that in the same way that playing different keys on a keyboard will give you different notes, saying words with different inflections, meaning rising and falling, will give you different meanings. A common example is ma, 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 ma. So the same syllable, ma, can either mean mom, numb, horse, curse. This becomes even more problematic when combining characters and even words together. For example, let's take a look at this word here. If we read it 睡觉, it means sleep. But if we read it as 水饺, it means dumplings. What about this one? Reading this as Beijing means the Chinese capital, Beijing, but pronounced Beijing. It means background. Now, you probably think that, hey, context will usually clear up confusion, and it's true. People should be able to tell what you mean for these examples, but it gets tricky for words with similar meanings. For example, city names. Are you going to the city of Suzhou or Suzhou? Is it the province of Shanxi or Shanxi? The list goes on. So how can we avoid these common mistakes? Well, by properly learning each tone. Let's take a look at this chart. See the numbers on the side? These are relative markers for the pitch of your voice. The higher the number, the higher the pitch. Kind of like on a music staff. The higher the notes, the higher the pitch will be. Now, this doesn't mean you have to match pitches or have to start singing to be understood. All of it is relative to your own voice. Let's take a look at what we will refer to as the first tone. In many textbooks, you'll see it explained as 5-5. Now, what does 5-5 mean? Well, it means you start on the fifth line and end on the fifth line, meaning you have a high and constant tone. It's like holding a note on a piano, or holding your hand on your car horn. It doesn't go down, nor does it go up. Let's look at a few examples. Ma, mom. 车, car. 山, mountain. 猫, cat. Notice how all of these words follow the same total pattern. They start and end with the same pitch. Kind of like singing and holding one note. La. Now, here's where I really want to emphasize something, which unfortunately too few textbooks will address. The tonal patterns of these words never change. I want to make this as clear as possible because too often Chinese learners will understand the tone behind a word or a character, but completely mess it up once it's part of a full sentence or when accidentally using some of the intonations or tones in their own native languages. For example, in English, changing the tonal pattern of a syllable or a phrase can change its meaning. Consider the following. A cat. A cat? Notice how my voice went up when it was a question? Well, too often Chinese learners will do the same, in this case turning ma into ma, which is a whole other character and means something completely different. This is something to keep in mind as we go forward with this. Let's take a look at the second tone. This one is coded as 3-5, meaning it starts from a lower pitch than the first tone and rises to as high as the first tone. Let's look at a few examples. 茶, tea. 床, bed. 油, oil. 糖, sugar. The biggest challenge for most learners, and it certainly is one for me, is to make sure to rise high enough. Too often, we will naturally hesitate to have such an exaggerated rise in our tones, but the problem is that, in doing so, we risk getting it confused with another tone and ultimately misunderstood. So remember to say the tones with confidence and allow them to rise properly. 茶, 床, 有, 糖. So I just hinted at a possible confusion between the second tone and another one. This is where we talk about the third tone, coded as 214. This is a very melodic tone as it moves in two directions. It starts low and goes down to an even lower pitch, and then rises up to the fourth line, which is just under the fifth, where the first and second tone end. Let's look at some examples. 好, good. 酒, wine. 手, hand. 腿, leg. The third tone is very particular in the way that it connects with other tones, and this will be something that we'll address in future videos. Finally, we have the fourth tone labeled as 5-1, meaning it starts as high as the first tone or as high as the final pitch of the second tone and drops sharply to 1, the lowest pitch we will need. One thing you'll notice is that 3 of the 4 tones start or end at the 5th line, and 2 tones go as low as the first line. As you can see, while Chinese tones certainly move around a lot, we are very often connecting one tone to another, leaving or starting from similar pitches. This means it really doesn't jump up and down as much as you might think it would, and instead will sound closer to a very expressive person where the tone of their voice goes up and down as they speak. The difference, however, is that the accuracy of these tones is extremely important in order to be understood. Okay, let's look at some examples of the fourth tone. 去, go. 月, month. 大, big. 热, hot. Much like the second tone required some confidence to go high enough, this fourth tone requires confidence to drop fast and low enough. 去, 月, 大, 热. Alright, we've covered all 4 Chinese tones, and I hope this has helped clarify a few things for everyone, but unfortunately the hardest is usually not reading each tone, but rather combining them together, because really that's where most mistakes start to happen, when we have to jump from one sound to another. Kind of like a musician would jump from one note to another. Most musicians will agree that the hardest for beginners isn't so much playing notes, but rather connecting them together in a seamless way so that they become musical phrases. Well, this is exactly what we want to do with these characters and words, which is connecting them to create full and clear phrases or sentences, while still retaining the original sense of each character and word. But that'll be for another video. If you have any comments, suggestions, or questions, please leave them down in the comments section. My goal is to help as many people as possible, so really, let me know what's something you've been struggling with when learning Chinese. See you next time!